look at what is happening globally, it's not only in Nigeria, there is an increasing call for more women to be represented in governance and politics. But in Nigeria, it does look like that trend is suffering some kind of setbacks, considering what we've seen so far. Take, for example, in the election of federal lawmakers into the 10th National Assembly, this is what is playing out. Look at the numbers. There are 17 so far female that have been elected into the National Assembly. So if you look at them, from the House of Rep, okay, so 17 females have won their seats so far in the elections that have been concluded. Senate, there are 3 of them, 14 in the House of Representatives, out of Senate seat of 109 and House of Reps 360. So if you look at what happened in the 9th Assembly in 2019, there are just about 8 women elected into the Senate and 13 into the House of Reps. In fact, House of Reps was a bit better this time around because we have now 14 lawmakers added by 1 in 2023 going into the 10th National Assembly. But in the Senate, it dropped. 3 women will be in the 10th National Assembly, except something changed going forward into the supplementary elections and the conclusion of the elections in areas where the elections have not been concluded. There are those who believe that there is a need for more women to be represented in governance and politics. But why are these numbers dropping? Let's be with a former federal lawmaker who represented Adamawa North in the Senate, Senator Binta Garba. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
In your time in the National Assembly, it was better than this.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is dropping?
I think we will answer that question much later. But in 1999, when we came in, we were 12 members, women in the House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate. So the 4th Assembly had 15 of us, 12 in the House of Rep, and 3 senators. But in 2003, that is where we have the highest number of female members of the House of Representatives and that of the Senate. Because at that time, we were about 26 female members in the House of Representatives and I think about 7 in the Senate. And ironically, the interesting aspect of it was that Kaduna and Lagos, in each of the senatorial districts, a female was represented in the Federal House of Representatives. Then I was representing Kaduna South, and we thought as if each House of each senatorial district can produce 1 female, then obviously the 35% that we're now asking for will have been achieved. Because when you look at 360 and 35% of that is 108. And when you look at the Senate, you have 109, including Abuja. So when we looked at it, that was when we started pushing for the affirmative action to have a representation of 1 female member in each of the senatorial districts. Unfortunately, there is a kind of a bricks between us and attaining those achievements. And we went further even to appeal, like I, for one, appeal with the wives of the governors to make a model out of it. Even some of them, to now see, even if you can, get 1 person that you mentor, so that at least in the state, if you can just have 3, example like Kaduna, that was having 16 House of Rep members, if you can have only 3 out of 16, or in Adamawa where you have 8 House of Rep members, and if you have 3, I think we're not asking much of that. But unfortunately, I thought by now, we will have seen the performance of women, the female legislators in their individual districts, which they have done well in terms of bringing about the dividends of democracy via empowering their people in their distance. It will have given them a kind of a pat and say, no, these women, we should give them a push. But unfortunately, instead of us getting more into it, we are going down. And a lot of things. Unfortunately, our election is becoming a little bit violent. In 1999, it wasn't like that. 2003, it wasn't like that. 2007, it wasn't like that.
So elections are now more violent. We thought that with the Beavers, things should be better.
Yeah, with the Beavers, it should have, but obviously the Beavers just came on board now. But when you looked at the activities that are going, a lot of hurdles for the women, a lot. We talked about sentiment, on religious sentiment, on cultural sentiment, and they look at you as a woman, what are you going to do in a man's world? But what we are now saying, I have said it and I will continue to say it, then what is the essence of you sending the girl child to school? The essence of you sending the girl child to school is for her to attain some certain knowledge and be a contributor to nation building. But now if now you looked at the political terrain and you said, no, a woman is not qualified to be there, then something is wrong somewhere.
Well, are the men saying that, or is the political class or the political system, is it saying that?
The political system obviously is working towards that. It's just you saying it with your mouth, but the index are there. If you now said, I am qualified by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as my right, which obviously the Constitution is unbiased on gender. But when it comes to the implementation, and that is where we're having an issue. If you now said, these are the criteria for me to be elected, and if I as a person, as a Nigerian, that has gotten all the qualification, and the next point you now use, you now bring sentiment to attach to what is ought not to. But again, is that, has she performed well? If the answer is yes, then what is the issue of bringing the sentiment on ground?
What could be done to fix this? You have been in the National Assembly. You have played in the big league, in the federal politics for a long time. So you probably have seen a lot of the problem. And I see how passionate you are about this matter. What can be done to encourage not only the older women folk who are into politics, but because some of them will be disappointed because of the numbers that we see.
Yeah,
but the younger women folk also need to be encouraged, because if they see these numbers that are negative, why would they want to play?
And why do you allow us, we the women, to go and cast our vote? Because you use us to cast the vote, but you don't want us to be part of nation building.
Is there anything that can be done to fix this? Because now elections are over.
There is.
So the reforming of government at state levels and all of that.
Yeah, the Constitution is unbiased. The implementation is where we're having an issue. Now, if you now said, I am as a Nigerian, because I asked myself, is it a crime to be a woman in Nigeria? It's not a crime. We are mothers. We feel the pain more than the men. If you don't have a good home, you can't perform even in your office.
Don't worry, I'm with you on this one.
You understand what I'm saying? But what we are saying is that a religion, which is supposed to be an umpire to bring about change in our life towards good governance, is being used arbitrarily against the gender. And that is where the big question is. So
there's a need for
the clergymen, both the Islamic and the clergymen and the Christians must look, because virtually every home you have a daughter. In every family, whether you like it or not. If you don't have a daughter, you have a sister. If you don't have a sister, you have a mother. And like in the 8th Assembly, when we're trying to see how we will include the 35%, on appointive angle, I think section 147 or section 47, where it talks about, if you want to, there must be a fair representation in ministerial appointment. All what we wanted to include is the 35% affirmative action, which Nigeria affirmed her signature way back 20 years ago. But the implementation is always a problem. And what I told my colleagues is that, look, it is not about we now. It might be your granddaughter tomorrow. It might be your daughter. So don't look at the present now. Have a bigger picture.
So there needs to be internal party structures that will be cast in the Constitution also to say, because if these are not a lawful means of, if there are no lawful means of going about this, or structural ways of going about it, this may never happen. But political parties now need to put it in place. But you are a member of the ruling APC. You have a president-elect and a vice president-elect. Both of them have been in National Assembly before. You have a wife of the president-elect who was a former senator, a ranking senator at that. And so the question is, are you guys coalescing to ensure that the place of women is fundamentally placed far and above, or even the issue of equality, equity, whatever name you want to call it, so that the women can be better represented?
Equity. It's all what we ask. Equity is the word. The joy that I have for my president-elect is that he was the first governor that came in with the twinning system, which is ab initio practicing in South Africa, where you have a he as the head, then the she becomes your deputy. So the president-elect, Senator Ahmed Ashwaju, was the first person that started it. Now, when you looked at it in 1999 to 2003 and 2007, the southwestern Nigerian governors, in one way or the other, had a woman as their deputy. So it's a twinning system, which all that what we're asking for. If you said, and it is happening in Adamawa now, because the present governor, ab initio, brought in a woman to be his deputy, apart from the one that was done in Plateau State, where Pauline Talem became the first female deputy governor in northern Nigeria. Then El-Rufai of Kaduna State made it sure that a woman becomes a deputy. And even the infantry now exchanged his former deputy governor to a woman, and there must be something special about the woman.
Let me take you then to the Adamawa politics, which I know that you play a major role. There's going to be a supplementary election. I mean, you are of the APC. You worked closely with Senator Binani on that election. And you've been asking for a review of the process, but INEC has come out to say there will be, on the 15th of April, a supplementary election. Is your camp ready?
I would say the camp is ready, but some of us are having some certain, we're not comfortable with it. I will give you a very good example of myself. I'm from Minchika local government, Jigalambu ward, 16 ward that makes up Minchika local government. In one of the polling units, Government Day Secondary School, Jigalambu, there were 2 polling units, and let it be on record. Polling unit 009 and polling unit 003. There was overvoting in these 2 polling units, which obviously when we were called upon, I went there. I asked the INEC staff, either they are the staff or ad hoc staff, what does the INEC law stipulate on overvoting? Which obviously prior to the election, INEC on its own trying to make the public know that if you have one person over and above the beavers, obviously it's overvoting. So polling unit 009 had an overvoting of 1. Polling unit 003 has an overvoting of 2. And there and then, the staff on ground on that collation center in Jigalambu Secondary School, Government Day Secondary School, affirmed, and in the INEC form, it was nil, both APC and PDP. To my amazement, the same polling unit, 009, was included in the PDP, and 003 are going for a rerun. So now, what does section, is it section... I
think it's 51 that talks about overvoting.
That talked about the voting as amended. So are we now going the same word that said, no, this is overvoting and we're going for another rerun. All what we're saying, and I'm pleading with the INEC chairman, he's a father, he has sisters, he has a wife, and he has a mother. We're just pleading the women of Adamawa State and the Nigerian women. What INEC did in the issue of Ado Dogwa in Kano, where they went and now checked the vivas and what have you, and it was authenticated, he won the election. What happened in Abia State? They went through the vivas and it came that the Labour man won the election. What is so special and peculiar at Adamawa State?
What are you asking for?
What we're appealing with him is that what was done in Kano, Tudunwada Federal Constituency, what was done in Abia should be replicated in Adamawa.
I mean, the results in 16 local government have already been announced and finalized in Adamawa State. So you are asking for a review of a result that have already been announced. The process have been concluded.
Why will you include a polling unit that has an overvoting? Why will you include it on a rerun? And why will one that has been expunged as due to overvoting included in the PDP vote? I was there.
Couldn't you have waited for a judicial review of the process? Seek a review of that process at the tribunal.
Sir, one of the polling unit, what I'm talking about, one of the polling unit for rerun was cancelled because of overvoting. Then why do you want us to go for a rerun on that? I was involved. I went there. And it was cancelled.
And you have the records?
Of course we have the records.
Do your agents, do they have the copies of, have you been able to collect your results in your own situation?
Yes, because there it was cancelled. It was. We reported the matter at the situation room.
But if you look at the figures, the entire figures, which, of course, at the end of the day, what INEC is looking at is that INEC has declared that in 69 polling units, that's where the supplementary election will be happening. There is a 37,016 possibility of PVC there. But the question I'm asking is the vote margin between the PDP and the APC candidate is less than this vote. It's just about 31,000. That's why the supplementary election is happening. The PDP feels that the figure they have is unassailable. And they are confident. Is it that your party, does not believe that
our figures was mutilated? Our figures was mutilated.
Do you have evidence for that?
Of course, because as of Sunday by 6 p.m., the issue is the Fofore local government. At that time, PDP was leading with about 25,000. But when we went to Fofore, PDP had about 7,509 thereabout, but APC was having 37,000 plus. So when you add 25,000 plus 7,500, you have about 34,000, about 33,000 thereabout. So the difference between her and at that time it was 409,909 for APC. And PDP had 406,615. I was shocked to my amazement that it now turned that APC was having 390,000.
Maybe it was a collation of what do you think could have happened?
Only polling unit and only word remaining for that, local government was Fufore. And we saw what happened in Fufore.
What happened?
Because they took. When the crisis became, how I wish it can be on screen. There was confusion there, and they insisted that the man should not,
declare the result.
Declare the result, and he was taken from there to the police station. It's on record, sir. From the police station, and they brought in another different result for him too. And I can say it vividly. We saw it. We knew who are the players.
Who are those?
One of them is the police commissioner, and I stand to be corrected because when I was attacked, when I was attacked, and everybody saw what happened to me.
The video that you're talking about, the man you are talking about, have you identified, been able to confront the person? Are you sure about what you're saying?
On the full foray, I wasn't there, but the video was there. But when I was attacked, I went and met him. We were taken away because it's not far away from, my house is just behind INEC. Going home, I was attacked. And one of the security guys said, why don't you go to INEC's office since the commissioner of police is there and the brigade commander is there. Fortunately, when we came in, we were approaching them. That was when they now put a stop on the Sunday that they will now reconvene on Monday. And the commissioner of police looked at me and said, how sure are you? So to me, I think there were some compromises somewhere.
So you suspect the man?
Yeah, I suspect him.
It's just a suspicion. You've not been able to confirm your...
No, because I was attacked on Sunday at about at about 2 minutes to 12 midnight. The police didn't get back to me till about Wednesday that the commissioner of police has to ask me what happened. When I was with him eyeball to eyeball, and I can say it without mixing word, I told him he was compromised.
So what are you planning?
All what we are saying, and we are all humans, and we believe this is a holy month, both for the Christians and for the Muslims, and we have conscience. Power is transient. All what we are saying, we are pleading with the INEC chairman. What they did in Kano and in Abia, they should do the same to us. What are the interests? If it is the PDP that won, fine and good. That is how God has destined it. If it is APC for crying out loud, fine and good. They should give this lady, this woman. She has been in the House of Representatives. She is still a serving senator until June, before she relinquishes, or if she gets her ticket, then okay. But what we are now saying is that what is the problem when a woman wants to aspire to the highest position and people are not comfortable?
Senator, we need to go now. So finally, you're ready? Your team is ready for the supplementary election? You will go there? Or...
I am still challenging that of Minchika. But the one that was cancelled, what is the rationale of bringing it back?
Michika, Madagali, these are the areas that are the governors...
the governor is from Madagali. Yeah. I'm from Minchika.
Yeah.
What happened in Jigalambu ward, polling unit 009 and 003, I was involved, I went there, it was cancelled, but again, it was included.
Do you think that the election process entirely was credible?
No, to me, I was thinking, to a large extent, it was, but with what has happened in my terrain, I think it's not.
Senator Binta Garba, former lawmaker, who represented Kaduna, representing Adamawa. Thanks so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.